Today's objective is I can find the measurement of a missing angle in a triangle by writing an equation and applying a strategy. So in our last video, we learned about the angle sum rule. And this is a rule about all triangles. So it doesn't matter what type of triangle we have. The sum of all three angles in any triangle is equal to 180 degrees. And this is true for all triangles. So we learned that we can solve for missing angles in triangles in a very similar way to how we solve for missing angles in regular additive angles problems. So go ahead and take out a piece of paper, a pencil, and let's do this next problem together. What is the measurement of angle F? So the first thing we always want to do in these types of problems is we want to draw a picture and label everything we know about the problem. So let's look at what they give us. I see a triangle. I see this angle here measures 116 degrees. I see this angle here measures 30 degrees. And we've got this angle here is labeled with a variable f. That's what we're going to be solving for. So we've got our visual, everything's labeled. Now we want to solve for angle F. So the next thing we need to do is draw our part whole chart. We know that for every triangle we're going to have three parts because for every triangle we have three angles. So here's our three parts. And here's our whole. So we've got our chart up. Now let's fill in everything we know. So we know that we've got 116 for one of our angles. We've got 30 degrees for my next angle. And our last part, F, that's what we're going to be solving for. So last thing that's really important that we fill in is our whole. So we talked about this a lot in our last video that these types of problems are not going to tell us our whole. We have to remember the angle sum rule that tells us that all angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So this is something that we have to have memorized in our brains for when we're solving these problems. They're not going to tell us 180 degrees is our whole. We need to know that all three of these angles added up is equal to 180 degrees. So we've got all of our angles filled in. Now we're ready to solve. So we know that when we're given a whole, given a part, and we've got a missing part, we can subtract our parts from our whole to find the missing part. So there's two ways we could do this. We could first add up these two parts, then subtract them from 180, or we could subtract each one at a time. So let's add these two parts up first. So we've got 116 degrees and 30 degrees. I'm going to add those up. 6 plus 0 is 6, 1 plus 3 is 4, and I bring down my 1, 146. So that's not my missing part, that's just the sum of these two angles. Now I'm going to subtract them from 180. This will give us our missing part. So I'm taking 180 degrees and subtracting 146 degrees to find F, our missing part. 0 minus 6, can't do this, so we borrow. 10 minus 6 is 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. So now we've got 34 degrees. And that's our missing part. So F is equal to 34 degrees. And we could fill this in over here too. 34. All right, so one way that we could check our work to make sure our missing angle is really 34 degrees is we could add up all three parts to double check that they add up to 180 degrees. So we've got 116 degrees plus 30 degrees plus 34 degrees. 6 plus 4 is 10. 3 plus 3 is 6. Plus 1 is 8. Bring down my 180 degrees. All right, that works. Now, if I were to add these three up and they didn't equal 180 degrees, that would tell you that your answer is incorrect and that you'd have to go back and try again, because the sum of all three of our angles must equal 180 degrees. All right, so our final answer, F is equal to 34 degrees.